Cerebrum's 4/5 of your brain. All right, it's really important. The cerebrum can be separated into two hemispheres. We can take it apart, and we see this outer pink layer. Outer pink layer is the cerebral cortex. What kind of stuff is it? It's gray matter, which means it's unwounded axons, dendrites, and what more? Neutron bodies. That was on the tape, right? All right. Neuron cell bodies. Okay. What do we have in here? White matter. Very good. What lobe am I seeing right here? The insula. The insula is very much involved in the sensation of taste. It mediates disgust, like not just disgust as in food, but also disgust like moral disgust, that sort of thing too. It's kind of interesting. What is this space right here? While I have it here.
The lateral ventricle.
The lateral ventricle. What would be inside the lateral ventricle?
CSF.
Cerebrospinal fluid. What happens if you write CSF on your exam?
You get full marks.
You don't get full marks. You get partial. All right, let's put this guy back on. How many lobes do we have in each cerebral hemisphere? Or
2 lobes.
how many lobes?
Oh, lobes.
Lobes. 5 lobes, right? We did the insula already. What lobe is this? Frontal lobe. Motor control, thinking, personality, behavior, etc. You got my pencil for me? Not even my pencil. I stole this from somebody over there.
It's me.
It's yours. Thank you. I was going to take it too. I wasn't even planning on doing take 2 here. Anyway, frontal lobe is right here. What lobe is back here? The parietal lobe. What separates the two of them? The central sulcus. Right in front of the central sulcus, we've got the precentral gyrus, which is your primary motor cortex. Behind the central sulcus, postcentral gyrus, which is where most of your bodily senses, somatosensory information, ends up going. What cortex? Well, what lobe do we have back here? The occipital lobe, which is primarily dedicated to vision. What's this space here? The lateral sulcus or lateral fissure, either would be good. What lobe do we have here?
Temporal.
The temporal lobe, very much involved in hearing. All right, if I rotate, look on the sagittal section here. We had our cerebrum already. What is this white matter right here? Corpus callosum. What does it do? Connects the two hemispheres, absolutely. Right beneath it, we have something. The septum pellucidum. The septum pellucidum. What's behind the septum pellucidum? Behind the septum pellucidum. Diencephalon's down here. Fornix is down here. What's behind the septum pellucidum? It's a space. The lateral ventricle. Septum, because the septum pellucidum separates the two lateral ventricles. Pellucid means clear. It's kind of like a see-through membrane. It's kind of translucent in the real thing. So, corpus callosum, septum pellucidum. What's this white matter right here? The fornix. The word fornix simply means curved. So a curved shape is called a fornix. Then there's a pinkish orangish structure because it contains blood vessels. What's the pinkish orangish structure? The choroid plexus. What do we do there? It's blood vessels. We make cerebrospinal fluid. Right beneath the fornix, beneath the choroid plexus, we have a region right here. What is this right here? The thalamus. The thalamus. What connects the two halves of the thalamus together?
The interthalamic adhesion.
Interthalamic adhesion. Oh, that's nice and long too, isn't it? Right here, there's some blue ink. It's almost like they wrote an H. I think it was supposed to be an I, but I'm going to turn it into an H by going like that. Why is H the correct thing? The hypothalamus. Autonomic control, drives, all sorts of things happening in your hypothalamus. What's missing from this model? Neither has it. The pituitary gland. We don't see it here. What does the pituitary gland do? Makes hormones, growth hormone, reproductive hormones, and many others. What do you call the stalk that hangs the pituitary gland? The infundibulum. The infundibulum. Where is the pituitary gland? Where does it sit?
Below the
In what bone? The sella turcica, which is part of the,
ethmoid.
not ethmoid, the other one. Sphenoid bone. Very good. So the bones are still kind of in there. I know they are. The ones that are in there are still in there. So hypothalamus. The hypothalamus and the infundibulum be coming out of it. There's a round sphere behind the infundibulum. It was named by a guy. Definitely a guy named this. The mammillary body. The mammillary body. Right in front of the hypothalamus, in front of the infundibulum, is the crossing, where the optic nerve and the optic tracts are going to form an X called the optic chiasm. What else do we have? What was this? Not optic.
Olfactory.
Olfactory. The tract. Then the tip. The tip is the olfactory bulb. And what kind of nerves are going to go into the olfactory bulb? Cranial nerve number 1. Cranial nerve number 1, because you only have one nose. Now they're numbered based on the fact that this is the first one, second one, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. Optic nerve is right here. Optic nerve is cranial nerve number 2. Now I can also see, and hard maybe from where you're sitting, except for like Darren and Elizabeth right there, and you guys. This would be bad if I just started doing it like this, don't you think? But right in there, that little tiny guy right there. Can you zoom in? Pan out, then zoom back in. Add some music to it. Okay. That little tiny nerve is the oculomotor nerve. Cranial nerve number 3. So oculomotor, eye mover. It's going to control most of your eye movements. It's going to control blinking, pupillary constriction and dilation. I always put a tag on the oculomotor nerve, then it always falls off by the end, by like halfway through the lab. Then everybody gets credit for that question. They don't know. Some people start saying other things because the tag is just like hanging there. So you got to remember not to put it on your exam, right? Anyway, where was I?
The fourth.
Oh, let's do another nerve. It's actually the 5th one. Sorry, I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. On the side of the pons, right there, that big nerve right there is the trigeminal nerve. It'll have 3 branches. That's why it's called trigeminal, 3 twins. The trigeminal nerve is one of the biggest cranial nerve facial sensations, as well as chewing muscles. Trigeminal nerve. Trigeminal nerve is very important to what kind of profession? Dentist. Yeah, dentist. Very important because you've got sensory nerves taking sensory information in. You've got a deadened nose. You've got motor nerves going to the musculature. As I kick your drink over down there. Luckily, it was lidded.
Yes.
It probably had a lot of caffeine. You would have fallen asleep in lecture.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, what bulging structure does the trigeminal nerve come out of? The pons. The pons. Pons has centers for urination, for respiration. It connects higher and lower stuff as well. What does the word pons literally mean? Bridge. And it does that.
So where's the fourth nerve?
The 4th is called the trochlear nerve, and we skipped it.
Oh, okay.
But since you asked,
No,
it is right there
Oh, okay.
on the other side. And we'll learn about it. We'll talk about it in lecture. Okay. What else? Right here we have the top of the brainstem. Top of the brainstem is the midbrain. The top of the brainstem is called the midbrain. And the midbrain has a channel running through it. What's that channel running through it? Not the central canal. It's continuous with the central canal.
Cerebral
The
aqueduct.
cerebral aqueduct. The cerebral aqueduct. What does it carry?
Cerebral spinal fluid.
Spinal fluid. Now there is actually a little space right here, a little pool right here that my pencil is in. My pencil is in the pool right here. What pool am I in right here? What space am I in? It is a ventricle. What ventricle? Not the lateral. The laterals are behind the septum pellucidum. So it is the 3rd, because lateral, then 3rd. So there is no 1st and 2nd. They are the lateral ventricles. So that's the third ventricle in there. What about the space right in here?
The fourth.
That's the fourth ventricle. So the cerebral aqueduct connects the fourth ventricle, which is the space here, to the third ventricle. Then the central canal would be continuous with that fourth ventricle. And meanwhile, there's holes, there's foramina for the cerebrospinal fluid to escape so it can go around the brain as well. Other stuff. If I take the brainstem out, and I got the back of the midbrain right here, I see two bulgets. A top one and a lower one. What's the top one?
Superior.
The superior
And
colliculus. The superior colliculus. Bottom one then is the inferior colliculus. Superior colliculus is visual reflexes, controlling your gaze, following something in motion. Inferior colliculus is auditory reflexes, startle reflexes. Together there's 1, 2, plus 2 on the other side makes 4. They all look alike, so they're twins, 4 twins. The corpora quadrigemina. The corpora quadrigemina. What else? There's even more stuff. Above the corpora quadrigemina, we are going to have a little structure sticking out right there. Another little gland. It doesn't even look like a gland, though. It's so tiny. It's the pineal gland. It's really small on the human brain. The sheep brain, as we're going to see on Wednesday. So, by the way, on Wednesday, bring your gloves. The sheep brain has a big pineal gland because sheep are much more sensitive to the changing of the seasons and reproductive cycles are based upon that than we are. What else?